Hi, I'm Justin, a landscape designer who likes to specialize in urban spaces. And my goal is to show you that you can build a garden anywhere. You may not think you have enough room for a garden, but even if you have just a wall and a little bit of room down at the bottom, I have a project that we can do today with some cinder blocks and plants that can add some greenery to any urban space. Now let's get started. So I started a base here with 5 cinder blocks at the bottom. I'm just gonna add this last one here. Now you can turn these any which way you want. Cinder blocks are great because they're modular, they fit together really easily. I'm not gonna glue these together because I'm not going very high. But if you wanted to go bigger, you could easily get some landscape glue and a caulk gun and make these as high as you want and as secure as you want. So as I turn these blocks out this way, I'm making space for plants to go here, I have space here, and then we're gonna keep going across. It's nice to alternate the direction of the blocks so that the one on top will hold together the ones underneath. So these are nice and sturdy now. And my last block, and I think we're ready to get these ready for some soil. I've got some wire mesh here, sometimes called hardware cloth. I've cut into just a cross shape, a little plus sign, and so we just fold these pieces up once we have that cross shape cut. It makes a little basket. And that's going to be the beginning of what's going to hold our soil in place. So once we start getting our wire mesh baskets in place, we can start thinking about what we're going to do to fill these up. So you want to get a potting mix that's going to be good for containers. Since we're not planting anything in the ground, you can customize this with a moisture control potting mix for vegetables and herbs, or you can get a succulent mix if you just want to grow some ornamental succulents. We don't have to worry about these fitting super tight in here because once we get our potting mix in here in our plants, it'll fill them and press up against the sides of the blocks and keep them in place. So now I've almost got all the baskets placed in here to hold our potting mix. And I'm gonna add one more layer to make sure it doesn't leak out the bottom. I've taken some weed cloth and just cut it into some squares, and I'm just going to set this down here in the bottom. So the weed cloth lets water through, but it'll keep the potting mix in place. We don't have to worry about these being too perfect because it's going to be covered up at the end. So now that I've got the baskets and the weed cloth cut and placed inside of here, I'm going to start thinking about which plants I'm going to put in here so I can put the right potting mix in each opening for the right plants. Since I've got this in a sunny spot, I picked plants that will do well in full sun. And also plants that will take the heat because it's pretty hot here in Austin. So I really love using succulents here because they can do well in small container spaces and you don't have to water them quite as often. I think I'll start with the succulents here. Since these overhang, they might dry out a little bit faster than the other ones here that are protected from the wind coming underneath. I like the softness of this Mexican feathergrass in contrast to the kind of hard lines and structure of the succulents. This is a great little euphorbia that does well with less water too and adds a little spot of sparkle with his little white flowers. We can also put some herbs in these small spaces. Basil is one of the easier herbs to grow, I think, and it's really easy to use. You can put it in some sandwiches, salads, pestos, and it's nice to have it right at hand whenever you need it. Oregano is a nice herb too, and since this is a trailing one, I'm going to put it up in one of the higher planters so that it can spill down over the edges, and that'll be really attractive later. I think I need a little bit more color in here, so I'm going to add in some flowers on the corners. It's another good one with the trailing habit, so maybe I'll swap this one over and put it on the corner so that it can hang over the edge here. And we'll have our herbs all together in the middle then. I think I have everything in place. I like the trailing plants on the corners up high, especially the oregano and these other flowers, and the grass for a little bit of height, and I like the way that that'll move in the wind. And then the bright color of the geranium on the side helps kind of pull it together so that we don't get lost on the edges. And the succulents will look good against the background of the blocks here in the front. So I've got my 2 potting mixes. One's the regular moisture control, Miracle Grow, and then the other one is specialized for succulents. I'm just going to get a small amount started in here so that we can see how much we'll need to hold for the roots of these plants. So I think I've got enough potting mix in this one. I'm going to go ahead and plant this. Just tease the roots out a little bit to help get it ready to fill the space that it's going to have now And then we'll top off with a little bit more potting mix. And you may find that the first time you water these in, you might need to add a little bit more potting mix because it might settle a little bit, and that's normal. I'm gonna go ahead and jump over here to one of the succulents. So this potting mix is specialized for succulents and other plants that need good drainage. So it has a little bit more sand added to it, so it doesn't hold too much water for the plants. Another nice thing about succulents is since they're slow growing, you can even add more than one into a small space. Just get some smaller ones, start them off, and pack them in here for a really nice miniature arrangement inside your garden. So we got this all finished up, and it goes to show that you can add some life to any small urban space. We'll be back again with some more projects and other challenging spaces. And until then, get out there and get gardening. I'm going to finish this one up. We are making the magic happen here. It's great.